All right, good morning, everyone. How are you guys going? Today I'm going to give a talk on a layperson's guide to ZK. And what I found today is that the term ZK has become primarily a buzzword. ZK AI, ZK ML, verifiable systems. I don't think most people really know what it means. So I want to give you guys some knowledge today. I hope if you give me your next 15 minutes, that you can leave here and know more about ZK than maybe 45% of people, or maybe 95% of people that you'll meet for the rest of the conference. So let's start. I'm Damien. I lead growth at the Starknet Foundation. I was previously the head of BD at Drift Protocol on Solana, and I used to be a practicing M&A lawyer. And let's go back to the beginning, where the genesis of ZK really began. In 1985, Shafir Goldwasser put together this paper, The Knowledge Complexity of Interactive Proof Systems. Shafir actually, interestingly, is also a scientific advisor to Starkware. But this paper is seen as the genesis of where ZK systems are today. It's a new area, and it opened up new research in the intersection between mathematics, cryptography, and computer science. And then shortly, 33 years later, we had a brand new article. This one's by Eli Ben-Sasson. Eli Ben-Sasson is the co-founder and CEO of Starkware, and he wrote Scalable, Transparent, and Post-Quantum Secure Computational Integrity. This is one of his seminal works, and it's the foundation of what the proving system Starks is based on. To give a bit more background information, this is Eli. He's kind of my boss. He's a founder and CEO of Starkware, and he's the chairman of the Starknet Foundation board. He's a professor at one of the top universities in Israel, and he was a founding scientist at a project you guys will all remember called Zcash. He's also the co-inventor of a lot of the foundational ZK proving systems today. And that's him, right? He co-invented Starks, and then he founded Starkware, which is a company. And then Starkware created a product called StarkX, which is powered by Starks. And then we had the public blockchain, Starknet. This is where I help work at, core contribute towards. And Starks also power Starknet. And finally, Starkware and the Starknet Foundation are core contributors to the public network, Starknet today. So, quick labels: Starknet, StarkX, blockchains; Starks, proving technology; Starkware, Starknet Foundation, entities. All right, now that we have that underway, we'll go back to this 2018 paper, right? This was a breakthrough in proving systems, and they're battle-tested today. They've been in production, they've been used to scale blockchains, and they've been used by many different companies outside of ourselves. But the vision to use zero-knowledge systems to scale compute systems with limited throughput began much earlier than 2018. In fact, this is Eli, again. I really like him. This is him in 2013 at a Bitcoin conference, right? Bitcoin San Jose. This is the first Bitcoin conference in the United States, and the first that was hosted by the Bitcoin Foundation. And this was Eli speaking at the Bitcoin conference, talking about how ZK snarks and PCPs could scale Bitcoin and enable private transactions. Just to put it into perspective about how early this was, right? We had, in 2008, the Bitcoin white paper released. We had in 2009, the Bitcoin Genesis block. We had in 2011, Satoshi's final communications. And then we had in 2013, Eli speaking at the Bitcoin conference about scaling Bitcoin using zero-knowledge systems. This was 2 years before Ethereum's mainnet launch. And in fact, it's about, I think if I'm doing my math right, 8 years before the launch of the first optimistic rollup. I'm choosing Arbitrum here because Arbitrum launched before Optimism did. But that's how early zero-knowledge systems were conceived to scale limited systems as it was. So the vision didn't stop there. Bitcoin, for many reasons, didn't apply ZK snarks and PCPs. And then we had this little thing called Ethereum launch on 2015. And Ethereum's great, right? Eli's paper was released in March of 2018, and then we had this period of explosive growth in scaling systems. Starkware was established 2 months later, the paper, in May. And then in July, 2 months later again, Starkware received the largest grant to date from the Ethereum Foundation to build out Stark infrastructure. This is their tweet back then, July 16th, 2018. They're very excited about a big grant they received. And they received $4 million, right? In a grant series where the next largest grant was $400,000, And if you can recognize some names, Uniswap was in the same batch. So there was a lot of faith, right? There was a lot of faith and trust that Starks could be the vision to scale Ethereum, even as early as 2018. And that's exactly what they said they would do. They said they would massively scale with transparent privacy and post-quantum security. So just putting this into perspective of everything else that has happened in the last 5 years or so. This was before the mainnet for any L2 had launched. This was before the discussion of L2s had even began. This is before the debate between validity and optimistic rollups. This is before the distinction between ZK and validity rollups. And this is before a lot of zero-knowledge rollups are even on mainnet today, right? We now have a Cambrian explosion of innovation. We have Alio, Polygon Maiden, Risk0. We have all of these new companies building on zero-knowledge technology that Starkware had already seen the value of back in 2018. So let me go through some actual core concepts now to help everyone's understanding, right? I've talked a lot about proofs, Stark proofs. I've talked a lot about Starks. And I've talked a lot about using Starks to scale Ethereum. What does that really mean? So a proof is essentially any system that can prove to another party, that party being the verifier, that the statement they are saying is true without revealing anything else other than the fact that it's true. They also need to prove that statement beyond a reasonable doubt. That's a legal concept. And Starks are a type of proving system. They stand for scalable, transparent arguments of knowledge. But they're not the only proving system on market. There's also Snarks. Snarks are succinct, non-interactive arguments of knowledge, and these were the predecessor of Starks. So why would you use proving systems, right? I've talked a bit about privacy, and I've talked a bit about scalability. Protocols can want both, right? You have a Zcash or a Monero, and they use zero-knowledge systems for private transactions. Or you have a Starknet, or you have a Polygon Maiden, and they will use zero-knowledge systems for scale, because they need higher throughput, cheaper transactions, and they still need to be secure. Whether or not the system has a prefix with ZK in front of it, that usually gives you a hint, right? Are they using ZK for the privacy-preserving aspect, or are they just using the proving system for what it is? Now, different proving systems have different trade-offs. It's similar to blockchains, right? Ethereum versus Solana versus Bitcoin. Your design choices impact what you offer to your end user. And so the size of your proofs, the time it takes to generate them, the time it takes to verify them, these all impact the end product you can give to your user. And so Starks, we believe, are the best way to scale any system with limited compute. They're post-quantum secure. They have larger proof sizes. It takes longer to generate the proof, but it's actually faster to verify the proof on the base layer. So once again, different blockchains use use ZK systems for different reasons. And these are the different iterations that are available today on market, right? You have Starks that are used by StarkX, Starknet, Risk0, Polygon 0, etc. You have, I guess, on your guys' right-hand side, the 4 different implementations of Snark proofs. These are all technically Snarks, but they have slight modifications that make them a slightly different proving system. So how do proving systems actually scale Ethereum? Why is this valuable in any way? Well, if we conceptually think about what a blockchain is really just a ledger of public information or public data that's been stored on-chain, and it's immutable and verifiable because it's decentralized, right? You can go onto a blockchain and you can see from the Genesis block every transaction that has happened, and you can rerun all transactions to arrive at the exact same state. That's how you know it's immutable. But usually when you have something that's immutable and everyone can verify it and it's decentralized, it's a little bit slow, right? I've just sort of explained the blockchain trilemma here. And so if we think about the blockchain trilemma, really, security means immutability. Not everyone can go in and just change the ledger, right? That's what security means. Decentralization means verifiability. Not any single person can go in and they can verify the network. And then finally, scalability, everyone knows to mean speed. So how do proving systems help this system? This is how Ethereum does it today. right? If you want to propose a new block in the blockchain, a block producer will bundle a bunch of transactions into a block, and that block will say, hey, the new state is 42. And then every validator on the network has to do the same thing, and then they rerun all the transactions, and then they say, boom, the new state is 42. And then that new block is part of the blockchain. How proofs scale Ethereum is that off-chain, so on Starknet, we run all of those transactions. Those transactions are bundled into a singular, smaller proof. That's that extra little half rectangle or half square you see there. And then on Ethereum, all you have to do, or all the validators have to do, is verify that smaller proof. And all those proving systems I showed you a minute ago, these all impact how big or how small that proof is, or how fast or how slow that proof can be generated, or how fast or slow that proof can be verified. And that's exactly how proofs end up scaling Ethereum, because the blocks can fit more space. The blocks only have to process the proof, and the proof themselves represent a much larger batch of transactions that has happened on a different environment. And so it's still scalable, because it reduces the amount of computation Ethereum needs to do. So it's much faster, right? And it's much cheaper. But it still retains the same amount of security, because Starks and Snarks and proving systems boil down to complex mathematical algorithms, and the definition of proofs require them to be unable to fraudulently convince an honest verifier. So if a verifier is operating in the way it should be, a fraudulent proof cannot convince it otherwise. And so it maintains the security that Ethereum achieves. I was missing another one. It's still verifiable. Anyone that runs a verifying contract on mainnet can verify those proofs. So where to from here? I really believe, right, in this next 1 to 3 years, we'll have the long tail of proving systems come to light. The genesis and the academia of this technology came around in 1985. And since 1985 to perhaps, I would say, 2018, most of the breakthroughs in innovation in this space has been in academia. And the reward has been, I guess, academic accolades and, to some degree, reputational. But in this next 1 to 3 years, any breakthrough will translate to a direct improvement in performance. And that will translate to what's possible on your chain, and that will translate to a better user experience, and that will translate to a larger bottom line and higher valuations. And so these are the things I'm excited about. We chose Starks because we believe Starks are the most scalable zero-knowledge proving system. They're the end game. They're post-quantum secure. They scale with adoption, which means the more transactions they bundle, the cheaper they become. And they can scale anything, including Bitcoin. Post Bitcoin's Opcat soft fork, Starks will be verifiable on the Bitcoin network. And that will mean Starknet will become the first blockchain that can simultaneously settle on both Ethereum and Bitcoin. And the Bitcoin settlement, what that really means is you'll have a solution existing natively on the Bitcoin network that can lock your Bitcoin assets without trusting any sort of centralized party, without trusting any custodian, just secured by math, secured by Starks. And thirdly, I believe we can scale anything faster. The underlying math to all of these proving systems is improving every day. And earlier this year, we made a breakthrough in Stark technology. And we have circle Starks now, which is based off of a new prime number in the field of numbers that they utilize. And what that's meant is we've been able to put together a new verifier, the Stew verifier. And this Stew verifier, this Stew prover, has, in testing environments, been able to take us up to 1,000 times improving speeds. And this is happening across the industry, well, I guess specifically across Starks. And so Starks are kind of going through this Cambrian explosion right now, and its own version of Moore's Law, where the technology is improving every year, and the systems will improve every year. So, if you want to chat more about this, off stage or online, I'm always available. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at the demo, and that's my Telegram handle. Yeah, and that's it for today. I hope you guys learned something a little bit about zero-knowledge proving systems, and thank you very much.